Okay, so if I can get everybody's attention, please. I want you to go to page 3. And at the very bottom of page 3 is part number 2, the lemon test. Okay, so first thing you're going to do, essentially, I'm just going to show you me doing it up here. You have all your supplies.
Do we have a lot of water in here?
Just a couple tablespoons of water. Okay, so first off, you're going to cut a lemon, or you're going to use lemon juice. I'm squeezing it here into some water. Try not to get any seeds in here. Okay. So now you want to put all of this juice water mixture into your mouth and swish it around and then swallow. Okay, and now we wait for 2 minutes. And then we're going to begin a series of pH tests. Yeah.
Nice.
A little attitude adjustment.
Pick me up.
Little alkaline pH in your mouth. Well, it's acid, but you're going to get more alkaline from eating it. Okay, so let's talk, while we wait for this 2 minutes, I have 1 minute and 30 seconds to talk about part number 1. So part number 1, the saliva pH. That one is just very simple. And this is important. You do not want to lick these. You only want to spit on them. That's just because there's some weird chemicals on here that you don't want in your body, and they really specifically say do not lick them. So just don't. When a chemical company says don't. Okay, so basically for the first part, somebody is just going to spit directly onto the paper and then match the results to the little key here. And then for somebody who is 6.0 or below, that's pretty acidic pH. And that means that the salivary amylase in their mouth is not functioning well. It's not going to be optimally breaking down starches and sugars. It means that the enamel on their teeth is going to be affected, and they probably have more high occurrence of cavities. For the 6.1 to 6.3, again, it means that these people have low mineral reserves. 6.4 to 6.8, that means that you passed. So in the first part, if we had done the saliva pH, which we didn't have enough pH strips to do, we would know this. And maybe later you all will be able to do this on your own as well. And if it's 6.9 or higher, it might be actually too high, that should actually say 7.2 or higher, I think. Oh no, this is spit. That's right, 6.9 or higher. Something might have interfered, or somebody might be on medication. So 6.4 to 6.8 is about what you want your saliva pH to be, just in general. Okay, so 2 minutes have passed. Let's move on. That was part 1. Now we're on part 2 again. So turn it to page 4. And I want everybody to take their first one and spit on it. And then match up what it is. And you can just, once you know, write down the result. And move on, and we're waiting for 1 more minute for the next round.
One side's different than the other side.
It's fine. Good. You all are very sick.
That was pretty good. Probably the darker area. I did the spit.
Yeah. I was about 7.2.
Okay. Just keep, yeah, we're gonna do, okay, can I get everybody's attention? We are on number 2. Everybody spit again.
On another piece.
Okay, and so sometimes you might see that when you spit on it, there's different colors. You want to try to read it as quickly as possible.
Oh, really?
And just like, okay, and so what happens is sometimes when you spit on it, you'll have like a big bubble of like wet saliva. And that big bubble of wet saliva is going to make it look a little bit strange. It's kind of right around the edges, or like if you can not spit quite a big blob on there, you're going to get a little bit better reading.
What about when it disperses and then it changes color?
You don't want to read the edges of the disbursement, just right next to where the big blob of spit is, or just, if you don't have a big blob of spit, right there. You could also spit on something and kind of dip it in.
Wait, so I'm sorry, you have to read it like lots of it. Too many of us initially is the color and then when it changes again, not that color.
Correct. Okay, everybody, I want you to spit on number 3. Spit on number 3. And just get as close as you can.
They don't look like they're doing anything.
That's fine.
That means that it's really acidic,
Yep.
right?
All right. Okay, and so everybody get your 4th one ready, and we are going for number 4.
It sounded like bingo.
B4. B4.
Sure.
I'm spitting.
Dang, I'm in trouble.
Sometimes they get really hard to read. Like, right, I'm just like, what color is that?
Cues.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
They're all the exact same color.
I started spitting on my finger and
I'd say that because I know that's white. I didn't even hear what you said. What'd you say?
Okay, everybody prepare for number 5. You have number 5 here. Get ready. And spit on number 5.
there we go. Where's the, I wasn't gonna spit.
Good.
You want the color it is right away, right?
Yeah, I mean, within the first, like, 3 seconds. You don't want to keep waiting for...
It starts really fast.
I mean, if it's within 3 seconds, it's still fine.
Yeah.
I was the squirrel.
No, they saw that squirrel. They watched it. It came in, stole my chocolate, and walked out with it. All right, everybody. Number 6. Let's spit on number 6.
Yay. Got a little darker.
It did?
Finally.
Yay,
See?
kitty.
Look slightly.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're digging deep from those bones, guys.
Okay, so let's talk about how to interpret these results.
Can I have some chai now?
Yes. You may brush your teeth. You may eat whatever you want. I know I'm really thirsty, actually. Good point.
Can we borrow your key? Because
These plates, we're done with plates all together now.
these are gross.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of biohazard in here right now.
Those monkeys are just gonna love this. Especially if it's dry.
Oh no. Save this for lunch.
Okay.
Use the same thing as dry.
It doesn't have to be your own.
I'll send this. Seaweed. It's totally seaweed.
You wouldn't notice it in your salad.
Celery seaweed.
No, you
The carrots. They have to be nice and purple like this. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Just check the things really quick.
Yep, we'll keep it.
See if there's confirmation.
Maybe being pregnant is some more situation.
All right. So if I can get everybody's attention, please. All right, so here we go. Let's interpret these results. We still have a little bit more to cover, and I don't want to keep this very long past the time. So interpreting the lemon test results. So let's start out, look at your list of numbers, okay? You just did 6 readings. I actually only care about the last 3. So cross out the first 3. Okay? All right, now look at your last 3 readings. And let's just look. If it's a 6.9 or below, meaning like if none of them were above 6.9, you have very low electrolyte or mineral reserve. Your digestion and liver are likely affected by this. Nutritional and digestive rebuilding is highly recommended through gentle cleansing, daily green smoothies or juices, or 100% detoxifying and alkaline-forming foods. So I would really, if you get 6.9 or below, and it could also be that you just drank coffee, and it might be below that for that reason. So you just try this in a couple hours and see how it goes. Yeah. And, you know, this happens all the time in my practice. I see people at this reading, and really, in some ways, they notice the biggest difference the fastest when they get on 100% alkaline-forming foods, because they feel amazing. But there's often a lot of things that need to happen internally for that to stick, you know, for that to just, like, actually be filling the mineral reserves. So then if you have a 7.0 to 7.4, this is pretty low reserves of alkaline minerals. Major mineral boosting is needed. So again, you know, you're not like dangerously low, but it's pretty low. All right, so then 7.5 to 8.0, if one of those last readings is at least a 7.5, you passed, meaning you have enough mineral reserves. This lemon test is what I look at to see where people's nervous system is at. This is the test that tells me, you know, like, how relaxed are you? If you're at that 6.9 or below, you're probably frazzled, you probably don't sleep well, or you have some sort of like anxious thing going on all the time. It's very connected. As you move up here, like if you can pass this and get at least a 7.5 in the last 3 readings, usually you've figured out the anxiety thing, or you're more calm in general. This is really important in just knowing like how you respond to stress and how fast you're able to fall asleep. Things like that. How you respond to stimulants like coffee or chocolate is going to be determined from these as well. But then 8.0 or higher, I don't know why this says you barely passed on there. Just scratch that out. It's not supposed to say that. You passed. You won. You got there. I don't know why it says that. It's weird.
Bring gifts for the rest of us.
I was just trying to make you feel bad no matter what. You just can't get it back.
A jar of sauerkraut for parting gifts for those of us that failed.
Maybe. And then 8.0 or higher at the last part, that means that you basically, like, it indicates that your liver has adequate alkaline reserves. And you just want to finish all of the rest of the test. I wrote that on each one because you want to see the overall picture before you can really tell what's going on. Because this is just kind of looking at the nervous system. So anybody want help interpreting their results? Anybody want to talk about that for just a second? Any questions?
What if it varies quite a bit on those last 3 tests?
It's okay.
I mean, how do you interpret? Just take it again later.
No, it's okay if the last 3 ones vary. It's fine. You just want to know, like, I would pick the highest one and just see where the highest one falls. Anybody? So anybody whose is like 6.9 or below, does that resonate with you? Do you feel like, yeah, maybe that's probably what's going on? Okay, yeah. 7.0 to 7.4, do you feel like that accurately? And is there anybody here who just feels like their test is totally wrong? Yeah.
It's like I eat a lot of alkaline foods, but I'm very acidic here. But I wonder if pregnancy has an effect.
That very much might have an effect on it.
I was wondering the same thing about like a nursing, because I'm a nursing person and, you know, it's very depleting.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a huge effect. Yep. Anybody else feel like they were slighted here in this one?
I think the big cup of coffee really cleared everything.
The big cup of coffee. Uh-huh.
But I'm fine.
Okay, so that's awesome. So interesting. What I want to say is like what this does in showing me like what's going on with your nervous system is that you just put acidic food in your mouth, and then you're seeing how fast your body is able to restore the alkalinity to your mouth. How quickly. So
that's why those first ones were greener.
That's why they're sometimes really crazy because your body just like shoots all the alkaline saliva into your mouth.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Dark purple.
Right, and then for people who just don't have mineral reserves, there's nothing to go there. So it just stays acidic. Yeah.
Time of day will affect it also.
The time of day will definitely affect this. And that's why I recommend that people do these at different times, especially if you find that your results seem skewed with the rest of your experience. Also, so let's talk about the rest of the tests as well. So part 3 is the urine test. This one is just testing your first urination of the day to see where it's at. Okay, I will admit that the urine test is a little strange because it's just telling you something that fluctuates a lot anyway, and like depending on, did you have a plate of broccoli for dinner the night before, or did you have a steak the night before? That's going to just depend on like what you had the night before to eat. Is really going to affect the urine test in the morning, unless you're just one of those people whose their body is totally stable and it's predictable every day. So I still want to know what people's urine test is. Like I like for people to give me all of these, especially when I do a cleanse. So I use these tests with all my clients, but primarily when I'm doing my detox, which I run 4 times a year. I have everybody go through and do this before we can see how deep they can go into the detox. Because if they don't pass a lot of these tests, they can't go into an all juice fast because their body can't handle the amount of toxicity that's going to come up. Because their body has no alkaline reserves to buffer that. And so you see really big problems and really huge cleansing reactions. And a lot of people talk about cleansing reactions as like a good thing. It's a healing crisis. It means something good is happening. And in my experience of the past 10 years of cleansing with myself and helping other people do it, I disagree. I personally believe that cleansing reactions are a sign that the body is dealing with too much toxicity and is having a hard time. And you need to look at that as a message of, wait, there's too much going on here, and learn how to slow that down. So that means that somebody needs to go into a more gentle phase of cleansing. And so that's kind of, I use that in the cleansing world, but then I also think of that in terms of people, just when they're healing from some sort of illness or something like that. I'm also, thinking about how deep they can go into that or how gentle it needs to be based on the results that we're seeing here. And this is how I came up with the concept of gut rebuilding. And gut rebuilding, you have a handout for it. It's one of my programs. It's an 8-week program, and I designed that because of this work, where people they were failing every test on here, and they just couldn't do a cleanse. Like it just didn't make sense because what they needed more than anything was to build their body. And a lot of people are depleted in minerals, and so then they go and cleanse, and then they're just kind of depleting more minerals because so much toxicity is coming up and moving out of the body. And minerals are what neutralize a lot of the toxicity or escort a lot of the toxicity out of the body. So that's why I developed gut rebuilding, because I wanted people to have an opportunity to build their body up, get their digestive force really going so that they can be actually pulling out the minerals from the food that they're eating, so they can relax, so they can nourish their nervous system and get to a place where healing becomes more possible. So then moving on to part number 4, that's the urine average pH test. And I really like doing the urine average. It's good to know. Over a 24-hour period, or even a 48-hour period. You can go longer. What is your average urine pH? And this is the one where Gabriel Cousins says for a vegetarian it should be 7.2, and I say if you're a meat eater it should be at least 6.8. This is fascinating to see. So when you look at the average urine and the lemon test together, you can tell a lot about where somebody is at, and you can give them a lot of direction dietarily as to where they're at, and then you could, or as to where they need to go, and even like herbally, you're going to be able to tell how much they could handle and what kind of herbs you need to be adding in. Do you need to be focusing on more tonic herbs with these people to help them rebuild, or do they have enough like mineral reserves to be able to give them some of the harder hitting therapeutic herbs? You know, you kind of need to be able to see where people are at, what their body is going through in order to determine some of that. Because some of the more therapeutic herbs can just be too much for somebody who's completely depleted. You know, and whatever it's doing in the body, whether it's killing something off or whether it's stimulating various organ systems, sometimes it's just too much. So I love this approach for just kind of finding out where people fall in that spectrum. Let's see. We're running out of time. So what I would love for everybody to do, okay, I'm going to say a couple last few things to wrap it up. Okay, I gave you handouts, and there's 3 programs in there. There's my gut rebuilding program. There's also an offer for a free consultation with me for anybody who wants to talk about any of their own health issues or interpret the results, or, you know, look with me personally, or anything really. And then I also have my fermentationist certification program. You have all those handouts. You can check them out. I offer a discount for my programs for people who work with me, like who come to workshops with me live. So for the gut rebuilding, it's a $150 off coupon. And for the certification program, it's $500 off. So basically, you're going to fill out an eval form now. You also got an eval form in there. And some of you might not have. I have your emails. And so I'll email everybody and just ask if you wanted to take part in the health consultation. And you can get back to me and we can schedule it on Monday or Tuesday. Okay, there's something else. Okay, and then I have Oli Kraut for sale in the back if anybody wants Oli Kraut. I also have some shots of brine if people want to take shots to boost their alkalinity right now. For you coffee drinkers. Body shots. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Do you have any more of the blue handouts?
She's making copies of them, I think. So if everybody could fill out the eval form for me, that would be awesome. I'm going to do a little raffle for Oli Kraut for those of you who turn those in.
I think you ran out.
Did I?
Eval forms?
Is there more?
Please.
So we'll be done if we can get those filled out by 11:15, and I'll do the raffle real quick at the end, and we can be done. Oh, and one more question to answer: where do you get the pH strips? You can get them at health food stores. You can get them online. Usually, it's like $15 or so for a little plastic container that has hundreds and hundreds of readings. Like it'll last you years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it possible to do alcohol?
It is. We'll have to. Yeah, it is. We'll do that in the 200 series.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I got one left.
Yeah.
So you're not that into supplemental minerals per se.
So I want to be in the drawing for all the crap.
That's a good question.
Make up my own little.
Okay, so I'm going to answer a few questions during this time for those of you who want to ask some questions while everybody's filling out the evals.
Does anyone have a blank piece of paper?
I do.
Okay.
Can we fill out a blank eval?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, there you go.
Thank you. Just sit next to somebody and copy theirs. Sure. Okay, so the question was, do I believe in mineral supplementation? I'm not huge into mineral supplementation. I think that it can work for people. You know, I've seen it work really well. My approach tends to be that I want people to be able to get it from their food. So I work really hard at trying to teach people how to do this through their food so that it's accessible. Because that's my main mission, is that like healing be accessible to people. And I think that when you're going more into the supplement, I believe supplements are great, you know, like, and I love all of that stuff. It works, but I want that foundation to be there. So that's why I don't recommend it first and foremost. If I was dealing with somebody who had tried everything and they couldn't get it to switch over, I would go that route.
What do you think about baking soda in drinking water? I've heard somebody suggest that as a way to boost alkaline.
Cream of tartar too, I've heard, is like, it's a cream of tartar. Thank you for saying that. Every time I really wanted to say cream of tartar. Yeah, those two are both really effective in boosting the alkalinity, but I don't know how I totally feel about it. I have mixed reviews. Mostly because it's not a true way of building the mineral reserves for the most part.
It's more like a temporary that kind of flushes it out.
Exactly.
And you don't think the soils, though, have been so depleted of minerals that we're growing our vegetables and food in that it's an issue that the food just doesn't have it? Or are you living proof that it does have it, I guess?
That is, I am willing to be proven wrong, and I know there's documentation out there, and I've read it, and I just don't totally buy into it because I think it's partially a marketing tactic for the supplement companies. That's my personal opinion. I think that because there's so many people growing organic vegetables and putting the supplements into the soil and or the implements into the soil, and if you're eating organic, do I?
You can rebuild your soil.
Yeah.
Just like you can grow things in your own system, the cycle of planting and whatever. You can rehab and check in and make sure it's strong enough on its own.
Well, and that's why I also recommend that people try to get as many wild foods into their diet as possible. Eat nettles and all of your wild edibles all year long. I think you're going to be doing really good for yourself that way. Yeah.
I know it's like a lifelong process of rebuilding your system, but when you have a pretty not so great reading, how long do you think it takes to kind of get back on track, or is it just different for everyone?
It really is different for everyone, and it depends. So it's interesting because I've noticed, it depends on also kind of what you can handle emotionally, or like your emotional and spiritual container as well. Because sometimes you just hit this wall, and no matter how clean you're eating, you can't keep eating clean. You're just like, I can't do it anymore, and like it all just like you run into that wall and you kind of just spiral out of control for a while. I see that as a normal part of the healing process for people, and part of that is like needing other parts to catch up, like needing the spiritual or emotional or mental part of healing to catch up, to be able to create room to contain what's next. So I think that can be part of it and connected to like how fast somebody can go through the process. Yeah. And it's also, I believe that it should be somewhat slow so that your body can adapt. I really if you could walk away with anything today from this class around getting your pH more alkaline or getting it to a healthy level of alkalinity, it would be that you do consistent, non-extreme actions every single day towards that.